And we are back to What Did AI Say at VKL-4AI on YouTube. Thank you so very much for coming back to the podcast. Gratitude is the attitude. Let's go ahead and jump right into today's episode number 86. Yeah, that's correct. Episode number 86. What did we ask AI this episode? Let's start with Chatgpt's answer. And the question is, has AIPAC's influence in American politics put Israel's needs above that of American people? I think we all know the answer to that, but it's always good to ask AI and see what it has to say. Now, let me just say this particular question, I'm thinking there's going to be some discrepancy between the American AI and the Chinese AI. Let's go ahead and get right into it and see what we end up with. AIPAC, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, is one of many lobbying organizations in the United States. It advocates for strong U.S. Israel relations, mainly by lobbying Congress, supporting pro-Israel candidates, and shaping policy discussions. The idea that AIPAC has caused U.S. policy to prioritize Israel over American citizens is debated, but it's not a settled or universally accepted conclusion. A few key points help put this in perspective. That's interesting. Okay, number one, AIPAC is influential, but not unique. AIPAC is powerful, especially on issues related to Israel, but it operates in a system filled with other major lobbying groups: defense industry, oil and gas, healthcare, tech, etc. U.S. foreign policy is shaped by many competing interests, not a single organization. 2. Like I said, just pay attention to ChatGPT's answer so that we can remember to compare it with Deepseek, the Chinese AI. Okay, number 2. U.S. Israel relationship is strategic, not just lobby driven. Successive U.S. administrations, Democratic and Republican, have viewed Israel as a strategic ally in the Middle East. Intelligence sharing, military cooperation, regional stability. That relationship would likely exist even without AIPAC, though lobbying can reinforce it. Interesting thought there. 3. Critics versus supporters. Critics argue that AIPAC's influence can push U.S. policy like military aid or diplomatic support in ways that don't always align with broader American public opinion or priorities. Supporters argue that backing Israel does serve U.S. interests militarily, politically, and economically, and that AIPAC simply advocates for that viewpoint like any other interest group. Interesting. 4. Democratic structure still applies ultimately. Elected officials make decisions. Voters, public opinion, party politics, national security priorities, and global strategy all play major roles. Lobbyists can influence, but they don't control policy. Is that right? Bottom line, AIPAC is a significant player in shaping U.S. policy toward Israel. Wait a second. Either they control policy or they don't. It says, but they don't control policy. But then here it says, bottom line, AIPAC is a significant player in shaping U.S. policy toward Israel. So there is some control. But there isn't clear evidence that it has overwritten the entire U.S. political system to consistently put Israel's needs above those of American citizens. Okay, so it says there isn't any clear evidence. So I guess 95% of our House of Representatives and Senators being on AIPAC's bribe payroll is not any type of clear evidence. Wow. Okay, let's continue. Where was I? Okay, it's more accurate to see it as one influential voice within a broader system of power, interest, and strategy. I'm sure that you think it is. If you want, now this is Chatgpt summary. If you want, it can break down specific examples like military aid packages or UN votes to show how this influence actually plays out in practice. Okay, that was very interesting. So I am anxious to see if Deepseek echoes what ChatGPT said or if it gives us more detailed information. Okay, here we go. Deepseek's answer, just in case you forgot the question, let me repeat it. Has AIPAC's influence in American politics put Israel's needs above that of American people? The question of whether AIPAC's influence prioritizes Israel's needs above American citizens' interests is central to a heated debate in U.S. politics. Okay, so Deepseek is recognizing that there is a heated debate on this topic, whereas ChatGPT didn't mention anything about a heated debate. A discussion, nothing close to a heated debate was stated. AIPAC is a powerful lobbying group that uses significant financial resources to support pro-Israel candidates, but it is currently facing a growing backlash from a shifting American public opinion. Okay, see, Deepseek gonna give it to us. Let's see what else it has to say. The argument for undue influence. Oh wow, they're going all in. Critics argue that AIPAC's tactics and spending demonstrate that its priorities are misaligned with the American public and even with democratic principles. Should we repeat that? Yeah, let's go ahead and repeat that again. Critics argue that AIPAC's tactics and spending demonstrate that its priorities are misaligned with the American public and even with democratic principles. Okay, let's continue. Financial power and electoral influence. AIPAC is the largest single political action committee in the 2026 election cycle. Did you hear that? AIPAC is the largest single political action committee in the 2026 election cycle, spending more than any other group. Its affiliate super PAC, the United Democracy Project, UDP, an affiliate super PAC, know these super PACs, entered the 2026 cycle with over 100 million and has spent tens of millions in primaries to support pro-Israel candidates and defeat critics of Israel. Critics contend that this spending chills dissent, with the implicit warning that criticizing Israeli government policy could trigger a well-funded campaign to end one's political career. Exactly. Thank you, Chinese DeepSeek AI. Let's continue. Specific policy goals. AIPAC's mission is to encourage and persuade the U.S. government to enact specific policies that create a strong, enduring, and mutually beneficial relationship with our ally, Israel. Opponents argue this often translates to advocating for unconditional U.S. military support. That is correct. The group has lobbied heavily against the Iran nuclear deal and praised the U.S. Israel joint military operation against Iran in 2026. Divergence from public opinion. A major point of contention is that AIPAC's political stances are increasingly out of step with the American electorate. For the first time in a quarter century, more Americans say their sympathies lie with the Palestinians, 41%, than with the Israelis, 36%. This shift is most dramatic among Democrats and young voters. Among Democrats, sympathy for Palestinians has surged to 65%, while support for Israelis has plummeted to 17%. Let me repeat that. Okay, for the first time in a quarter century, more Americans say their sympathies lie with the Palestinians, 41%, than with the Israelis, 36%. This shift is most dramatic among Democrats and young voters. Among Democrats, sympathy for Palestinians has surged to 65%, while support for Israelis has plummeted to 17%. The counter argument: legitimate advocacy. Supporters of AIPAC argue that the group represents a legitimate and constitutionally protected form of political advocacy by American citizens. It represents American voters. AIPAC states that it represents the roughly 5 million Americans, Jews and non-Jews alike, who support a strong U.S. Israel relationship. Its supporters argue that it is simply one of hundreds of powerful lobbies in Washington and that its involvement in elections is a form of civic participation protected by the First Amendment. I like that because Deepseek is letting us know that the supporters argue that no laws are being broken. Okay, moving right along. The influence is exaggerated. According to Open Secrets, a nonpartisan campaign finance tracker, AIPAC was the 18th largest contributor in the 2024 election cycle, not the single most powerful force its critics claim. Its defenders argue that portraying AIPAC as uniquely sinister taps into anti-Semitic tropes about Jewish control of government. Oh, it always comes back down to anti-Semitic. Whereas the Zionist Netanyahu and his cult are the most anti-Semitic people I have seen in my lifetime. Very interesting. Okay, where were we? Moving right along. A shifting political landscape. Some analysts argue that the ongoing war with Iran is revealing the limits of AIPAC's influence. As the war continues, a growing number of candidates are becoming more cautious and are calling for congressional oversight, reflecting a broader public sensitivity to prolonged military involvement in the Middle East. Thank goodness for that. I haven't seen it yet, but let's hope that's what is really going on. The context of a changing America. The debate over AIPAC is unfolding against a backdrop of rapidly changing public opinion. While Republicans maintain strong support for Israel, around 70%, the Democratic base has moved dramatically. This shift has made AIPAC's involvement in Democratic primaries a major point of contention, with the group's immense spending creating a political flashpoint and prompting some candidates to refuse its support. Well, finally. The central question of whether AIPAC puts Israel's needs above America's is fundamentally a political judgment. I guess this is Deepseek's summary. AIPAC exercises its right to advocate for policies that align with its mission, and its opponents argue that such advocacy can distort the democratic process. The coming elections will be a critical test of how these competing forces shape the future of American foreign policy. Okay. That was pretty good from, especially from Deepseek. Chatgpt, I understand, it's going to say what it's going to say, but Deepseek did go in a bit further with the information. Okay, so how does any of this affect our daily lives? It would be interesting. I've already tried to find out how many politicians, big pharma, big food, which is big tobacco, and big oil. I've checked I've tried to check and see how many politicians or senators or in House of Representatives those different lobbying groups have on their payroll, and I haven't been able to get, a number that I kind of really trust for either of the three or four. Um, what I will say is this: I don't think that any of them are paying uh, bribes for 95% of the House and the Senate. I don't think any of those other companies are paying that kind of money to I mean, for sponsoring these people like AIPAC is. So, I mean, AI can say what it's going to say, but I mean, the list is online. And when you go through all of our political people and see how many, both Democrat and Republican, receive their campaign contributions from AIPAC, some to the tune of millions, others usually under a million. I think the majority, when I last looked, were under a million. Only some of the more well-known senators had over a million from AIPAC. But I mean, again, when 95% of your politicians are on AIPAC's bribe roll, that's saying something. That's no longer an argument of if there's influence or not. That is most definitely influence. That's almost our entire political arena. That's insane. So it's a problem. That's a major problem. And when it gets to a point where we're actually pulled into wars that have nothing to do with us, and everything to do with Netanyahu and Israel, that's an issue, because we're not defending America. And to be honest, we shouldn't even be defending Israel. Israel is not an ally to the United States. Israel is an enemy to us and has drug us down a genocide wormhole or rabbit hole that we're going to be digging out of for a bit, especially if we don't get out now and we continue to fight this war with Iran, because, Iran's been preparing for this, and they've got silent backing from some of the biggest countries out here, and those that are under the BRICS umbrella, which is over half of the world. The population of BRICS now is over half the world, and they have, what did they have last time I checked? Almost 50% of the natural resources in the world. Almost 50%. They probably have more now, because I'm sure that they've gotten other affiliate partners like probably Mexico and maybe Canada. Who knows if they've put their package in to join after being treated so disgustingly by Trump. But we'll find out soon enough, and we already know the dollar's not being used in BRICS when they do business amongst each other. So it's just a matter of time. But so yeah, AIPAC and other groups that lobby to the point where they hold so much influence in our politics, in U.S. politics, that's a problem. Because the people are supposed to be first and foremost. People, country, however you want to break it out. But it's supposed to be us first and then everybody else. Not Israel first, then us, maybe, if it's not Ukraine's not beating us out, and then us. So hopefully we can get rid of this corrupt administration and move on. We shall see. Everything happens for a reason, and hopefully, if anything, we're learning all the lessons that have been brought to our sight that we've missed for decades. So hopefully we're seeing everything and learning all the lessons so that we ourselves can be better. And if we can start that process of becoming our better selves, we can also learn to pick better people, not vote for money, but vote for substance and security and the or not vote for racism and money, but vote for substance, security, cost of living, wages, jobs, all of that type of thing, things that we really need, but not for racism, because voting for racism is what got us into this mess to begin with. Okay, that's all I have to say on that. Let's go ahead and move on to our positive saying for today. And who does it come from? Confucius. That's a first. Okay, let's see if I can read my own writing here. Men's natures are alike. It is their habits that carry them far apart. So Confucius wrote, men's natures are alike. It is their habits that carry them far apart. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, that's it for this episode number 86. Thank you so very much for giving me about 22 minutes of your time. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. We the people have the power. Thank you so very much. Peace. See you next episode. Bye.